There is a divine law that governs all things, seen and unseen. It is the law of supply, swift, exact, and unfailing. The same power that spins the stars in their courses is the power that brings money to you when you align your thought with it. Money is not separate from spirit, it is spirit in manifestation, condensed energy taking the form of gold, of opportunity, of doors opening where walls once stood. Most people chase money as if it were something outside themselves, something to be captured, earned, or deserved. But the truth is that money responds instantly to consciousness. It does not come because of effort, it comes because of alignment. The instant you release fear, doubt, and grasping, the flow begins. The instant you recognize God as your immediate source of supply, the channels open and the miracle moves. There is no delay in the law when you know it. Delay is only the shadow cast by unbelief. When one prays rightly, not begging, not pleading, but affirming with authority, the law acts immediately. Prayer is not words, it is the recognition of truth. It is the silent knowing that you already possess all that you desire in the invisible, and that it must appear in form. Say each day, the divine law of supply is now operating in my life. Money comes to me freely, easily, and in perfect ways. I am open and receptive to the endless good that is mine by divine right. Speak it with power, not as a wish, but as a decree. You are not asking a distant deity to send you coins. You are awakening the infinite substance that already surrounds you, waiting for direction. There is only one substance, and that substance is God. Limitless, radiant, abundant. Every time you think of lack, you shut the door to its flow. Every time you bless your supply, you multiply it. Gratitude magnetizes the invisible riches and draws them to you. Fear scatters them. Faith gathers them close. To live in prosperity is not arrogance, it is obedience to divine law. You are meant to be supplied, not to struggle. The power that brought you here cannot fail to provide for you. Declare your independence from limitation. Speak to every appearance of want and say, you have no power. The spirit of plenty is here and now. Miracles happen the moment one stands firm in truth. A lost opportunity reappears. A forgotten debt is paid. A door opens that no man could have forced. The outer world must rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. This is the law that works immediately, the law that never sleeps nor falters. So pray daily, not as a beggar but as a creator. Speak with assurance, walk with expectancy, and act as one already rich. For in the realm of spirit, supply is instant, and money, like air, rushes to fill the space you prepare for it. Money responds instantly to consciousness, not effort. This truth overturns the old belief that struggle, strain, or ceaseless labor brings abundance. Many people toil endlessly, believing they must push and strive to earn every dollar, yet they remain surrounded by lack. They chase opportunities, change jobs, work longer hours, and still feel that money slips through their fingers. It is because they have not yet understood that money is consciousness made visible. It is not earned by sweat alone, but attracted by vibration. The outer world merely mirrors the inner state. When the mind is filled with fear of loss, anxiety about bills, or resentment toward those who prosper, the law of attraction obeys that vibration and produces more of the same. Lack attracts lack, just as surely as love attracts love. Consciousness is the foundation of all manifestation. Every thought carries energy, every emotion sends out a silent command. The universe is a responsive medium, and it reproduces in form whatever we impress upon it with feeling and belief. Money is no exception. It is energy that responds to the mental blueprint we hold about it. When one believes that money is difficult to obtain, that belief hardens into fact. When one believes that supply is unlimited and that they are divinely entitled to abundance, life begins to reflect that conviction. It is the difference between saying, I can't afford it, and saying, divine supply meets all my needs. The moment you shift your thought, the law begins to rearrange circumstances, people, and events to match your new awareness. The mind must be trained to think prosperity. Every word you speak about money sets the law in motion. Idle complaints, small fears, and casual statements of limitation create obstacles to supply. Many people habitually declare their lack, saying, "I never have enough, money goes faster than it comes, times are hard." The law does not reason. It simply reproduces the pattern sent to it. When you change your pattern to words of abundance, "Money comes to me freely and easily, I am divinely provided for, my income increases from expected and unexpected sources," the vibration alters immediately. The new belief plants a fresh seed, and the manifestation must follow. Effort without aligned consciousness is wasted motion. You may work day and night, but if the inner dialogue is one of worry or resentment, the energy of lack surrounds your labor. You may see temporary results, but they will fade, for nothing can stand that is not rooted in right thought. True prosperity flows through the path of least resistance, and that resistance is always mental. The person who works with joy, gratitude, and confidence in divine supply may work less outwardly, yet accomplish far more. Their consciousness does the work for them. They are tuned to the frequency of plenty, and money rushes to meet them through effortless channels. This law acts instantly because the universe is immediate in its response to conviction. The moment you truly accept abundance as your reality, everything begins to shift. There is no waiting period in the spiritual realm. Delay occurs only in human thought. The instant your inner belief changes, the current moves. But most people pray for prosperity while inwardly expecting failure. They say the words, yet the emotion contradicts them. Faith must be felt, not recited. The feeling of wealth creates wealth. The feeling of poverty creates poverty. The subconscious mind takes orders from feeling, not from empty affirmation. When you think from abundance rather than about abundance, the change becomes magnetic. You cease chasing money, and money begins seeking you. The right ideas come, the right opportunities appear, the right people cross your path. You find yourself guided to actions that produce results without strain. The inner alignment makes the outer path smooth. The invisible substance of wealth is always around you, waiting for your recognition. Consciousness opens the channel through which it can flow into visible form. To hold a consciousness of prosperity requires constant watchfulness. Every fearful thought must be replaced immediately with a thought of truth. Every time you are tempted to worry about a bill, declare silently, "God is my unfailing supply and this need is met right now." Every time you envy another's success, bless their prosperity, and know it is a sign that the same good is possible for you. What you bless, you draw nearer. What you condemn, you repel. Money is a servant of spiritual law. It has no will of its own. It obeys the consciousness that governs it. When you stand in confidence, money serves you. When you fear it or chase it, it eludes you. The outer condition cannot change permanently until the inner conviction is transformed. Once you establish prosperity consciousness, not just in thought but in feeling, the manifestation is immediate and continuous. The effort becomes joy, the work becomes expression, and the flow of supply never stops. Prayer is a decree, not a plea. It is not the language of begging or hoping. It is the language of authority. True prayer does not rise from fear or desperation, but from the calm assurance that what is asked is already given in the unseen. When one pleads, the vibration of lack fills the request, and the law mirrors it back as delay, confusion, or emptiness. When one decrees, the vibration is confidence, and the law responds immediately, shaping the invisible substance into form. The universe does not respond to words alone, it responds to the energy behind them. A plea says, "I do not have." A decree says, "I already have, and it now appears." The decree recognizes the truth that all supply, all success, all good already exist in spirit, and through conscious recognition, they are called into visibility. Prayer as a decree begins with the understanding of divine authority. Every individual is a center of divine operation, a channel through which the infinite expresses itself. To decree is to assume your rightful position as a co-creator with God, speaking the word of power that commands the substance of the universe to take shape. This is not arrogance, it is obedience to divine law. The universe is governed by mental and spiritual laws that are exact, impartial, and responsive. The decree aligns your thought with those laws. It does not try to convince God to act, for God has already acted. It simply opens the door for what is eternally present to move through your life without obstruction. When you pray as a decree, the tone of your thought changes. You no longer speak from a place of need, but from realization. Instead of saying, "Please give me money," you affirm, "Divine supply now manifests in every area of my life." Instead of saying, "Help me find work," you declare, "Right action and perfect opportunities are now drawn to me." The decree does not ask for permission. It claims what belongs to you by divine right. Every decree spoken in faith is a spiritual command that sets unseen forces in motion. Angels of opportunity, ideas, and timing rush to obey. The universe, like a great mirror, reflects back the image impressed upon it by your conviction. This kind of prayer requires unwavering belief. It cannot be mingled with fear, doubt, or double-mindedness. A decree spoken half-heartedly dissolves before it can take form. The power lies not in the words themselves, but in the consciousness that speaks them. If one declares abundance while secretly believing in poverty, the vibration of lack still rules. The decree must be felt as truth. Feeling is the magnet that draws substance into form. When you decree, you must feel as though the thing desired is already complete. You must inhabit that state of consciousness so fully that there is no longer a sense of waiting or striving. The decree then becomes a living vibration that the universe cannot ignore. Every great miracle recorded in spiritual history began as a decree. The healer who said, "Rise, take up thy bed and walk," did not plead with God to make it happen. He knew that divine power already existed and simply called it forth. The decree cuts through appearances. It does not concern itself with conditions, statistics, or logic. It speaks truth directly to illusion and commands it to dissolve. To say, "There is no lack in divine mind, therefore there can be no lack in my affairs," is to replace false appearances with spiritual reality. The outer world, being plastic to thought, reshapes itself to match the decree. Many people misunderstand prayer as an act of submission or helplessness, but the truest prayer is an act of dominion. It is the recognition that spirit within is greater than any appearance without. When one prays with authority, fear loses its hold. Conditions may still seem resistant at first, but persistence in the decree transforms them. Every repetition of a truth statement deepens its imprint on consciousness. The subconscious, once filled with patterns of worry and limitation, begins to accept new orders. As soon as it does, the results must appear. The law cannot fail. To decree rightly, the mind must be still and focused. Scattershot affirmations, spoken in haste, have little power. Silence precedes the word of command. In that silence, you connect with the infinite intelligence that knows all ways and means. Then, when you speak your decree, it carries the vibration of divine certainty. The words may be few, but they are charged with power. Say, "This situation is now resolved in divine order." Say, "My good comes quickly and easily." Say, "There is only one power, and that power now works through me for complete success." The decree is not about eloquence, but conviction. Each time you decree, you train your consciousness to expect immediate response. You begin to see that there is no distance between thought and manifestation except that created by disbelief. You realize that the universe is mental and that form is only thought slowed down. What you decree with faith must appear, because the law cannot deny its own vibration. Prayer, then, is no longer a ritual or a hope. It becomes a creative act, a spiritual technology, a living power that shapes reality. The moment you understand this, your words become tools of creation, your thoughts become architects of destiny, and your consciousness becomes the place where heaven meets earth. Gratitude multiplies supply, fear blocks it. Gratitude is the open door through which the riches of the universe pour into your life. It is the vibration of acceptance, faith, and acknowledgement that all good is already present. Fear, on the other hand, shuts that door. It is the silent denial of abundance, the belief in separation, the thought that you must struggle, beg, or strive to receive. Gratitude says, I have. Fear says, I lack. And the law of mind, which reproduces whatever is impressed upon it, gives more of what you claim. When you are grateful, you claim plenty. When you are afraid, you claim want. Both are prayers. Both are creative forces, and both work unfailingly according to your dominant feeling. Every moment of thankfulness multiplies the flow of substance in your life. Gratitude does not wait for visible results. It begins before the evidence appears. It is a declaration of trust in divine order. When you thank the universe for your abundance, even before it is seen, you acknowledge that it already exists in the invisible realm. That acknowledgement brings it into form. The grateful heart is magnetic. It attracts every good thing because it lives in harmony with the principle of supply. Gratitude is the recognition that life is always giving, that the divine never withholds, and that you are constantly surrounded by opportunities, ideas, and resources waiting for your acceptance. Fear blocks supply because it is a vibration of contraction. It tightens the channels through which abundance flows. It whispers, there isn't enough. And so the universe mirrors that belief by limiting the visible expression of good. Fear lives in the future, anticipating loss or disappointment. Gratitude lives in the now, resting in the assurance that all is well. These two states cannot exist together. You cannot be fearful and grateful at the same time. The moment gratitude enters, fear dissolves. The moment fear takes hold, gratitude vanishes. Therefore, to maintain prosperity consciousness, you must cultivate gratitude as a daily discipline, a steady inner attitude, not an occasional emotion. Begin each day by counting the blessings already around you, no matter how small they seem. Give thanks for the roof above you, the breath within you, the light that wakes you, the food that nourishes you, the people who love you. Each acknowledgement of good multiplies its presence. When you look at what you have with appreciation, you invite more of it. When you dwell on what is missing, you invite its continuation. The law is simple and exact. Whatever you focus upon with feeling increases. Gratitude focuses on presence. Fear focuses on absence. The universe magnifies what you see. Gratitude also heals the heart from the poison of comparison and resentment. When you bless the prosperity of others, you place yourself in the same vibration. You cannot draw what you secretly criticize. Envy shuts the channel of supply tighter than any external condition. To be grateful for another's success is to align yourself with the energy of success itself. Bless every evidence of wealth and happiness you see, for it reminds you that the same abundance is available to you. The world around you is a mirror, reflecting the thoughts you hold. Gratitude polishes that mirror until it shines back with beauty and grace. Fear, by contrast, is the shadow that clouds that reflection. It causes one to hoard, to grasp, to withhold generosity. It says, if I give, I will lose, and in that belief, the flow stops. But gratitude says, as I give, I receive, and the flow increases. The grateful person is never poor because they live in continual recognition of supply. They see wealth in sunlight, in laughter, in opportunity, in the invisible support of spirit. Even when appearances show lack, their gratitude remains steady, and by the unseen law, the appearance must change to match that inner truth. To live in gratitude is to live in the awareness of oneness with divine supply. It is to know that every need is already met, that every desire is already fulfilled in essence. Gratitude bridges the gap between the invisible and the visible, between what is desired and what is seen. Each word of thanks spoken with sincerity sends forth a vibration of multiplication. The energy you send returns to you amplified. The more you appreciate, the more you are given to appreciate. This is not poetic sentiment, it is spiritual mathematics. The law of increase operates through praise and thanksgiving. Even in moments of challenge, gratitude has transforming power. When faced with difficulty, instead of collapsing into fear, you can say, "I thank divine intelligence that this situation is now resolved in perfect order." That statement shifts the vibration immediately. It replaces resistance with harmony, doubt with assurance, and chaos with peace. The problem begins to dissolve, not because of effort, but because gratitude aligns your mind with higher order. The energy that created worlds now works through you to correct every imbalance. Fear cannot survive in a grateful heart. Each thankful thought is a ray of light that dispels the shadows of limitation. Gratitude expands your consciousness until you see abundance everywhere, and in that expanded state, you become a clear channel for prosperity to flow. The universe is generous beyond measure, but it can only fill the vessel that is open. Gratitude opens it wide. Fear keeps it shut. The choice between the two is made moment by moment, thought by thought, word by word. When gratitude becomes your natural response to life, supply becomes effortless, continuous, and ever increasing. Divine law acts immediately when belief is firm. The universe does not delay. The response of spirit is instant the moment consciousness accepts a truth completely. What people call waiting is not delay in the law, but hesitation in the mind. The law itself is mechanical in its precision, spiritual in its intelligence, and exact in its response. It does not reason or question. It simply reproduces what is impressed upon it with conviction. The seed of belief planted in the soil of the subconscious begins to grow the instant it is received. If the result seems slow, it is because the belief wavers, changing shape under doubt, fear, or contradiction. The law can only give according to the firmness of one's faith. When faith stands unmoved, the invisible becomes visible, and what was unseen steps forth as fact. Firm belief is the only condition under which divine law can operate perfectly. When you truly know that something is yours by right of consciousness, no outer appearance can prevent its arrival. The universe rearranges itself in obedience to your conviction. Doors open, opportunities appear, ideas unfold, and events align in perfect rhythm with your inner certainty. There is no limit to what can manifest when faith is whole and steady. The law does not require time, it requires recognition. The instant a person recognizes the truth of their abundance, health, or success, the current of creation begins to flow without interruption. The appearance of time is merely the space between acceptance and realization. Doubt is the great disturber of manifestation. It creates static in the mental atmosphere, breaking the clarity of the signal sent to the law. When one affirms with faith one day and then worries the next, the creative current is interrupted and the law must wait for a clear command. The universe responds to consistency, not confusion. Firm belief speaks with one voice. It does not alternate between hope and fear. This is why spiritual teachers have always emphasized steadfastness, the unwavering mental stance that does not yield to appearances. To hold fast to truth in the face of contradiction is the test of mastery. The law works, the instant faith holds its ground. The unseen forces of life are obedient servants. They act upon the vibration you sustain, not upon the words you say. You may speak affirmations all day long, but if deep within you are expecting failure, that expectation becomes the ruling belief. The moment that inner expectation shifts, the whole fabric of circumstances begins to change. Firm belief is not effort, it is calm knowing. It carries no tension, no strain, no need to force results. It rests in assurance that the law cannot fail. Just as gravity never stops working, divine law never sleeps. It is the constant pulse of order beneath every event. When belief aligns with that order, manifestation is swift and certain. To hold firm belief, one must train the imagination. The imagination is the workshop of creation, and it must be filled with images of success, abundance, and harmony. Each mental picture impressed upon the subconscious acts as a mold for the formless substance of life. When you visualize with unwavering confidence, you are not creating something new. You are allowing what already exists in spirit to take shape. The law acts at once because it is already complete in the invisible realm. The firmness of belief determines how quickly it steps forth into visibility. Belief is made firm through repetition, emotion, and inner stillness. Repetition imprints truth upon the subconscious until it becomes second nature. Emotion charges it with power, giving life to the mental image. Stillness seals it. For in silence, the mind becomes a clear channel for divine energy to flow. When these three are united, belief becomes immovable, and manifestation becomes inevitable. The law then acts with precision and speed, for there is no longer resistance to its movement. The delay that once seemed real disappears, and results come as naturally as breathing. The individual who understands this no longer prays with anxiety. They do not wonder when or how their good will come. They know that the moment the belief is complete, the law is already working. Their task is only to maintain the vibration of certainty, to speak and act from the consciousness of completion. The law of manifestation is immediate in its obedience, but it can only operate through the channel of conviction. Weak faith produces weak results, strong faith produces strong results, and perfect faith produces instantaneous demonstration. There is no power in the universe that can oppose divine law. It is not subject to chance, emotion, or circumstance. It is the rhythm of the infinite itself, always responding to consciousness, always ready to create according to your inner word. When the mind wavers, the current flickers. When the mind is steady, the current flows like lightning. To believe firmly is to step into harmony with that current and allow it to work without interference. The result is not gradual but immediate in essence, for creation happens in consciousness before it appears in form. The moment belief becomes absolute, the outer world bends to meet it. Prosperity is spiritual obedience, not chance. Abundance is not the result of luck, accident, or external favor, but of harmony with divine law. Every soul is born under the same infinite order that governs stars and seasons, a law that responds precisely to the thoughts and feelings one holds. To be prosperous is to live in alignment with this law, to think, speak, and act in accordance with the rhythm of universal good. When a person understands that prosperity is not personal but spiritual, they cease to struggle and begin to cooperate. The universe is generous beyond measure, yet it must operate through channels of consciousness. To obey the law is to open those channels wide. To ignore it is to block them. The idea of prosperity as obedience means recognizing that supply is governed by spiritual principle, not by effort alone. Every law of life demands respect and understanding. One does not defy gravity and expect to remain standing. Neither can one defy the law of supply and expect abundance. The law states that as one believes, so it is done. When thought dwells on lack, debt, or deprivation, that mental energy disrupts the flow of good. But when thought affirms divine plenty, the flow is restored. The universe has no favorites, it simply mirrors the consciousness it receives. Prosperity, therefore, is not random. It is the exact reflection of inner order. To obey the law of prosperity, one must learn the art of receptivity. Many desire abundance but secretly resist it through fear, guilt, or unworthiness. They ask for good while believing they do not deserve it. The law cannot give what the heart refuses to accept. Spiritual obedience begins with the realization that abundance is the natural state of the soul. To be supplied is not arrogance, it is alignment. Poverty of mind or spirit is disobedience to the law that created life to expand and flourish. Every tree, every river, every star demonstrates the same principle: endless increase, effortless growth, perpetual circulation. The universe wastes nothing, withholds nothing, and is never in want. To think otherwise is to think against the current of truth. Obedience to the law of prosperity also includes giving. The act of giving releases the flow of circulation through which wealth moves. To give with joy and confidence is to declare faith in unlimited supply. It is saying, I trust the source completely, for I know it cannot be depleted. Those who withhold out of fear declare the opposite, and their very fear closes the channels of return. The law of circulation is exact. As you give, so shall you receive. This does not mean reckless spending or empty charity, but a conscious participation in the movement of divine substance. Every gift freely given, whether money, time, or love, multiplies itself in invisible ways and returns multiplied. The obedient soul understands that prosperity is not accumulation, but flow. To live prosperously requires mental discipline. Every thought of limitation must be replaced with truth. The obedient mind does not indulge in worry or complaint, for these are violations of spiritual order. Each time you declare lack, you command the law to reduce your supply. Each time you affirm abundance, you command it to increase. Words are instruments of creation. To use them carelessly is to interfere with the natural operation of the law. True obedience is inner consistency, the harmony of thought, emotion, and speech with divine reality. When that consistency is established, prosperity becomes continuous. The universe cannot help but support a consciousness that mirrors its own abundance. Prosperity is not an outer condition but an inner awareness. A person may possess wealth and yet live in fear of loss, which is spiritual disobedience. Another may have little in form, yet live with a rich sense of peace and expectancy, which is obedience in action. Outer wealth always follows inner wealth. The law moves from the invisible to the visible, never the reverse. To cultivate prosperity consciousness is to train the mind to see plenty everywhere, to bless every evidence of supply, and to expect increase without anxiety. The obedient soul does not force results, it allows them. Obedience also means trust in divine timing. The law acts immediately in essence, but the unfolding in form may require sequence, alignment, and adjustment of circumstances. Faith holds steady during this period, knowing that the outcome is certain. Impatience is another form of disobedience, for it implies doubt in divine order. To obey the law is to rest in assurance, to keep the mind calm and receptive while the invisible forces complete their work. The obedient person walks in quiet confidence, knowing that every step is guided and every need already met. Chance has no place in spiritual reality. What the world calls luck is simply the visible effect of inner alignment. A person who thinks rightly, gives generously, and maintains faith cannot be touched by chance. Their success may appear sudden, but it is only the inevitable result of obedience to divine principle. The universe operates through precision, not accident. Every blessing, every opportunity, every flow of wealth is drawn by law. Prosperity, therefore, is not gained, it is revealed. Revealed through right thought, right word, and right action. To obey the law of prosperity is to live in tune with the infinite itself. It is to know that abundance is as certain as sunrise, that supply is as sure as breath, that every need is met through perfect spiritual order. In that obedience lies freedom from fear, from struggle, from uncertainty. Prosperity is not something to achieve, it is something to allow. It unfolds naturally for the one who walks in harmony with divine law, recognizing that the source is limitless and that alignment with it is the only true success.